How's it going? We're going to be playing some more Champion of the Gods, just in case you guys don't know my stats already. Yeah, the humors, they come like afterward, and my logic is not as high as it was before. Actually, none of these are quite as high as they were before. The Merciful went down farther, and the Humility, like in these Integrity and Faithful, started going up some more. There's not many two things having to do with Deception and Integrity, really. It pretty much just stays where it is, or so I've found so far. But, wait, can I go show stats and then click next? What does that give me? Oh no, it just takes me back to the game. Okay. So then, 2 years later. The Prophecy. You are seated on a horse overlooking a city that makes even the mountains around your village seem a trifle. Gray stone columns stretch to the heavens, supporting statues twice the size of people. There is so much promise in the streets before you. Your heart beats heavily to observe them. You hear Meredith's voice. "Is it all you dreamed?" he asks. His manner is warm and reassuring. Yet something does not quite make sense. You wonder why I cannot remember leaving my village, whether the city is the city that Meredith called Kelenos, or why Meredith has led me there. Well, obviously, I was told that I would make a journey when I'm 18. It's 2 years later, so it wouldn't be why he led me there. Obviously, we're on the way to see the Oracle, and it doesn't really matter why I can't remember my village, because if it was a really long goodbye and like really tragic, and he didn't want that to be on my mind, Meredith might have given me some kind of herb to forget it or something. So whether this is a city they called Kelenos, you wonder whether this is the place Meredith called Kelenos that night many years ago, and he asked you questions about your dreams. Suddenly the world begins to drift apart like mist, and the familiar vision appears. You open your eyes to find yourself back in your home lying on your mat. How fitting that the old dream would return again on the morning of your journey. You emerge into the early dawn light, careful not to wake your brother. Your mother is crouched in the garden, digging in the dirt. "Come here." She holds a handful of red herbs out to you as you approach. "Bring this with you on your way. The flies detest its smell, but take care not to let the daylight spoil it." You take the herb and put it in your bag. Your mother stands and wipes the soil from her hands, then instinctually fixes the hang of your cloak. "Would you that you were journeying with me to the Oracle, there to care for me as gentle as you do here?" I don't understand why it doesn't say, why there's no question mark, but I mentioned that when I played before too. I'll let you guys know when it's to the point that I've been already, or when it's at the point where I'm stepping into new territory, because I really enjoyed playing it the first time. The only problem is that the mic quality, my mic was turned up, so as I said before. "Another shall care for you in time. The gods would not dare destine such a sweet boy to wander alone." You regard her caring face and think about how grateful I am to have grown up as her son, how cold my life would be without her, how proud she must be to have a son as gifted to myself. This is me like being like, "Oh yeah, I'm so awesome. She must be so proud of me." And this would be like, "I miss her," and this is like, I was lucky to have her. "Through the years, it has been a true blessing to have a mother like yours." And also, she mentioned like they would not leave me alone, so she's essentially foretelling that since I'm a merciful and kind person in this game, that I am going to end up finding somebody eventually along the way. "Through the years, it has been a blessing to have a mother like yours. The family is strong, and its strength will remain with you on this journey. You leave her. You are due to meet Meredith at the gate soon, but the sun has not risen yet, and you are promised somewhere else first. You walk east, and the well-trod ground gives way to patches of knotted weeds. Before long, you are so far from the edges of the village that it is hard to believe you are still within. Only the new wall marks the boundary, a long row of wooden spires spanning the foot of the Epsicos hills. In time, you come upon a clutch of low, square wooden shelters. 3 of them are sheep stables, a little more than fences with thatched rooftops. The 4th is shaped like the others, though it is enclosed, and has a tall door. It is the only kind of home that Alcas the shepherd knew how to make, a stable with walls. Sitting a few feet away from it, you can see Chara waiting. She stands and smiles. "In the years since she helped to save your brother, we have become like family ourselves. We have fallen in love with each other, or I have become obsessed with her." So, there's no way we would end up falling in love. I don't think. I mean, I'm too young. At 16 to 18, I would be too young to decide that we fall in love with each other. So we've become like family ourselves. She's more of a sister than anything. As a member of the Guard, it came as a surprise to many villagers that you would come to share such a close friendship with a shepherd. Yep, friends. And yet you and Chara are a true bond. You are sure this is because we are so different from each other? I admire her because she is so brave. I can sense that she is a better person than I am. Well, whether or not she's better than I am, that's kind of a debate, honestly. I mean, it says that her intentions are pure, but so are mine, so it wouldn't be that. And I admire her because she's just so brave. We are so different from each other. I'm not going to go with different because it said that she is pure. So being brave is not the same thing as being strong, and is certainly not the same thing as being fearless. When timid Chara defended your brother on the day of the Tamak attack, you learned everything you needed to know about her. Your bond grew from there. You embrace heartily in greeting, then stand apart from one another. So then you are off along your path, Chara observes. Will you not join me? You ask. Meredith could easily acquire another horse from the elders. I have only to ask him. Chara shakes her head. Indeed, I had hoped to accompany you today. I would like to see more of Agosta than I know, but my father will not hear of it. You are of age now, you should do as you will. You are indeed a loyal daughter. Wake your father, I will tell Alcus that it is important you journey with us to the Oracle together. Indeed, your place is here. I'm going to say, indeed, you are a loyal daughter, because I don't know if her place is there or not, because I am not the Fates. Also, the Fates are essentially the, the Weavers are essentially the Fates from Greek mythology. And the multiple gods, some of them are the same. There's like the goddess of wisdom and other things. You'll get to see some of the gods when we get farther and we meet them. This is me, or is this her? One must show strength in numbers if one is to tend these sheep. It's her. Yeah, okay. They are more stubborn than you can know. Even my father cannot hope to face them alone. You both laugh. I don't know why that's funny, but yeah. But tell me, Benjamin, what will you do if the oracle portends a fate beyond the village? It will be... If it be the will of the gods, I must go where I am called. That's the fates and the will of the gods are completely different, actually. Not really spoilers, but yeah, they're different, and Meredith will explain that. I would defy the... I can't abandon my family. I'm gonna go with this one, just because even though I know it's not the gods, defy the weavers and remain here. I wouldn't do that, and obviously I can't abandon my family, but I didn't like the way that he said that. But I'll go ahead and go with it anyway, since it's what I did before. But the consequences, I do not fear the consequences, you assure her. This village is my home, and I must not abandon it. Meredith waits for you at the gate, 2 horses tethered nearby. You help him onto his mount, and then climb atop your own. The members of the guard pass you weapons and supplies, looping them onto the sides of the woven mat on your horse's back. As the 2 of you depart, you look up at the wall. More than the usual number of guards and apprentices stand along the gate, waiting to watch you pass through. The guards raise their spears in a silent salute as you go. Your father joins in the tribute as soon as the apprentices are blowing their horns in a salute. You carry on. The road takes you and Meredith past the village's tall stone markers for the dead. You always thought that your body would one day rest among them. Today you are not so sure. On the 2nd day of travel, old Meredith suggests that you test his wisdom. This is a long journey, he explains, and one way to pass the time will be through talk. So tell me, is there anything of the world that you wish to know? I already know all of this stuff because I already talked to him about this, but I'm going to go ahead and go through all of these just so that you guys can know. So the first thing that I was interested was about the gods, because I was kind of confused about how they worked and stuff like that, and whether or not they were actually real. The gods are the most powerful beings in our world. They have dominion over the skies and the seas, even over love and war. Tell me about the weavers. I was interested in first. The weavers are gods too, but they are mysterious, even to the other gods. They dwell deep inside the earth at the center of the underworld. There they weave the strands of mortal lives together and forge our destinies. It is said by some that the weavers were born with Agosa, that they existed before the gods themselves. Why did the gods create us? Their reasons are unknown. To do them worship? To keep them company? The only thing that is certain is that we are their handiwork, and that our futures are the handiwork of the weavers. Tell me about destiny. Destiny is the path that a mortal's life follows, Meredith expounds. The weavers create it long before we exist, and they bind us to it, until the day we are cast out into the underworld. We are fated to follow the path they have plotted for us. That is our destiny. But if destiny exists, we have trust all. We do have a choice. In fact, we can choose to defy the decrees of the weavers, if we so desire. But we can only stray so far from the path that has been plotted for us before the weavers will find a way to bring us back to it. And they can be most cruel if we defy their wishes. Most cruel indeed. wasn't asked about the demigod because as far I might be or no, I'm not a demigod because my blood didn't shine. So I'm a normal mortal. I've just been given extra gifts. Yes, their child will be born a demigod, and that child will have a melancholy path indeed, for demigods are not part of the Weaver's divine plan, and so, when such a child is born, the Weavers must work quickly to incorporate them into the future. This is why demigods, despite their great powers, are often dealt paths of little consequence. The most they can hope for is to find someone with a great destiny that they may join with their cause. So I might have a demigod joining me at some point. That's kind of interesting. But does it not anger the Weavers when the gods interfere with our destinies? It can anger the Weavers, to be sure, but the gods are always careful to avoid affecting the paths of mortals with truly great destinies, for if they do, such changes will affect the paths of many other mortals too. How are the Weavers cruel? Perhaps cruel is the wrong word. To the Weavers it is not cruelty. To them individual mortal lives are only strands in the tapestry that is the future. And if a single stray thread threatens to unravel the whole of that creation, they will do what must be done to bring it back onto its path. And do they ever cut the thread? They will seldom cut the thread if one whose destiny touches many others, but they will not hesitate to cut the threads of lesser paths, if they know it will achieve their purpose. Are the gods bound by destiny as we are? Of course not. The gods are free of such bonds. It is one of the reasons we mortals pray to them. I do not understand. Only a god can change a mortal's path. With their help, mortals who were destined to be slaves can be made into kings. Mortals destined to live a lonely life can find love. Can the gods affect my path with that there? All through the power of the gods. And so, it is to our advantage that to earn their favor, to convince them to change our paths. Brian, knock it off. Tell me about the oracle. The oracle is the temple and the dwelling place of the seers, Meredith explains. People who can see the future the same way you and I see our own memories. And not only one future. The seers view the future of all humanity, the pathways of every living person, great and small. They know our future histories as though they have already happened. Did ordinary mortals consult the seers? It is a good question indeed. It is a good question. Indeed, ordinary mortals often consult the seers. Some simply come to the oracle for advice, but many more hope to learn that they are destined for greatness. And are many of them so destined? I have led many to the oracle in my day, Meredith recalls, and those who merely seek advice return satisfied. But those writers who hope to learn of their future's importance, a trip to the oracle has only meant a long, quiet ride back to the village. That will not be the way with you, I am sure. You are the first man who has been sent on this journey by a decree of the elders. I have had prophetic dreams. Does that make me a kind of seer? That's not a question that I'm really interested in asking, so we'll go next. Oh, shit. I didn't mean to click on that. Never mind. I don't even want to read that. There's no need to ask more questions of Meredith. The rest you know well from the stories of your mother, how the gods, despite their greatness, cannot see the futures that the Weavers craft. Yet you realize there is something about the world which you remain ignorant. Even now. Fucking hate being ignorant. Sucks. Meredith, on the night I first met you, you said the sorcerers once dwelled in the First Age. I have never heard that time spoken about again. Few speak of the First Age anymore. It was a dark time for Agosa. But I will tell you the tale. She needs to stop screaming. Allahu Akbar! What's up, Toril? How's it going?
Good.
Oh, is there no cheese in that juice?
There's no cheese.
Right. I gotta finish this up real quick. No chiz? No jizz. It is said that in the First Age the gods were new to the art of creation. In their inexperience they crafted the first race of mortals, a race possessed of magic and far too powerful to be what you and I would call human. You speak of sorcerers. Indeed I do, but imagine a world where every living person, every mortal on earth, is a kind of sorcerer, and able to wield magic like a god. So it is said that all mortals were, in the First Age. What happened? Here, Terrell. Here, turn the Xbox for you. Ignore the banana muffins that are sitting here. The mortals' power became unstoppable, of course. They began stealing the life from each other. Some even made slaves of the dead. And when that did not satisfy them, they began to draw the life out of Agosa itself. In the end, they rose up against the gods themselves, and their creators destroyed them in a great flood, wiping Agosa clean of their blasphemies. Yeah, this is a game about like gods and shit. I'm like some random teenager that gets like this superpower.
I can
It's
tell.
it's awesome. It sounds as though these corrupt mortals well deserved such a fate. You ride in silence for hours as the road cuts through a long succession of low hills, knotted with hardy verdure. Suddenly you hear a faint cry, unmistakably human. You and Meredith stop your horses to look behind you. In the distance, riding at full gallop, a woman is frantically driving her horse your way. You cannot see the rider's face clearly, but when you hear the woman call your name, your stomach sinks. "It is Chara," you say, recognizing the familiar voice. Behind her, and drawing closer by the moment, are two other riders carrying spears. Doubtless they are bandits of the hills, who have recognized Chara as an unwary traveler. You and Meredith rouse your horses and ride to meet Chara before the bandits can catch up with her. You overtake her quickly. I will have the rest of my life to be a good daughter, she pants. I took a horse from the guard stable and followed you the very day you left. And we're going to go ahead and leave that off here, and you guys can mull over what is going to happen now, because I brought an old man with me on a journey, and there's a young girl, and she's being chased by bandits. Will I defeat them? Will something else happen? I have honestly... Actually, I do know. But I'm going to say I have honestly no clue. I don't know what's going on here. Terrell, do you know what's going on?
Nerd.
You gotta play this. It's really fun.
But it is.
Alright, well, I will see you guys next time. Actually, we'll check my stats real quick. So my resilience is at 60%, which is higher than normal. Strength is at 50%. Speed is at 83%. I'm like lightning quick. It's awesome. I'm very merciful. I have integrity. I have a lot of humility. I'm faithful. I'm so logical, but that replaces passion. So like I'm like super. I'm like, oh yeah, I understand all of what's going on here, and I do smart things. But then I can't get a girl because the passion is so low.
For real.
Yeah, it's funny. All right, I'll see you guys next time.